Victory over Rio is short-lived, as scouts report an incoming siege. The demonic sect leader orders a swift withdrawal. They retreat to the hidden sanctuary to heal. Yet, even in slumber, 𝒂𝒈 is haunted by Rio's terrifying phantom. Just as death's shadow closes in within his nightmare, 𝒂𝒈 jolts awake, his heart hammering against his ribs. Sensing a presence, he nearly strikes at a young girl. Luckily, he regains his senses before blood can be spilled. The great leader assures him he is safe within their secret stronghold. Peace finally returns to his weary mind. He reflects on the Nazi village tragedy. Guilt gnaws at his soul for arriving too late to save the innocent. Rio's survival burns like acid in his veins. But the leader reminds him he fought with strength beyond measure. No war is fought without sacrifice. Ironically, Rio's villainy became the catalyst that awakened 𝒂𝒈's supreme dark power. That monster unintentionally forged the survivor he is now. Now, recovery is the only path toward absolute world domination. News of his power spreads like wildfire. Yuna is the epicenter, and the world hails him as the poison dragon. At the forest's edge, Zhang seethes over a letter. The Tang clan's support for the sword sect is an insult. Seeking a target for his rage, he finds a group of foolish cultists attempting a pathetic, uncoordinated ambush. Without even drawing his blade, his supreme mana detonates. The weaklings perish instantly, never knowing what hit them. Days later, a desperate Rio arrives at the Tang estate, carrying a dying Jinglong to seek forbidden aid. He is stunned by the majestic scenery, a legendary domain untouched by invaders for over 100 years. A grumpy physician begins treating Jinglong. The two old masters bicker incessantly, filling the air with endless complaints. Jinglong awakens expecting a grand duel. Instead, Rio silences him with a single, blunt strike to the head. Back to sleep for the weakling, Rio seeks the great master, but finds only the young heiress remains in residence. Back with 𝒂𝒈, the great leader formally invites him into their secret, supreme dark order. Rejected, the leader heads off for the festival, leaving 𝒂𝒈 to bond with the silent maid, So. He realizes she is mute, leaving him in a melancholic silence. He wanders outside, lost in deep, dark contemplation. He pushed his mortal limits to the brink. Surviving that catastrophic battle feels like a twisted, divine miracle. His body craves rest, but his soul is restless. The shadows of war refuse to let him find peace. The horrors of Nazi village stripped away his delusions. He finally saw the true, brutal face of the world. Gone is the world of justice he once imagined. Now, it is a cesspool of filth, betrayal, and corruption. If a few fish rot, you remove them. But if the entire ocean is toxic, what hope remains for salvation? The source of this decay is the Alliance leader, 𝒍𝒅 the tyrant who turned the world into a living nightmare. Can he truly challenge the man responsible for this chaos? His enemy's power is far greater than he imagined. With multiple monsters lurking in the shadows, his quest for vengeance seems like a suicidal path toward oblivion. Just then, 𝒂𝒈 arrives with a fresh kill. These two warriors were forged in the same hellish fire. Seeing 𝒂𝒈 covered in bandages, 𝒂𝒈 mocks him mercilessly. 𝒂𝒈 seethes, but his broken body prevents a counterattack. Forced into a temporary truce, they discuss the legendary war between the poison sect and the medicine sect. The revelation shatters his reality. All his life, he believed the poison sect were the ultimate villains of history. Eager for the truth, he learns that 10 years ago, the medicine sect launched a massive, unprovoked massacre. It was a brutal ambush that left the poison sect defenseless and on the very verge of total annihilation. Only the intervention of the Sichuan Tang clan turned the tide, rewriting the destiny of both rival factions. The Tang clan's overwhelming might tip the scales, crushing the medicine sect's forces with absolute, devastating efficiency. The medicine sect crumbled into ruins. Survivors were either hunted down or forced into a life of bitter servitude. Abandoned by all, no one dared help the medicine sect for fear of the Murim Alliance's iron-fisted wrath. Driven into the shadows, their true fate remains a mystery. Each side clings to their own version of truth. Forbidden poisons versus a preemptive strike, their ancient hatred was a powder keg, just waiting for a single spark. Years of suppressed rage finally erupted. As the truth sinks in, 𝒂𝒈 is overwhelmed by a crushing remorse. He realizes his revenge against the poison sect was blind. Then, a shocking new secret is finally revealed. The maid, So, is actually the medicine leader's daughter. In a fit of childish spite, Gang pushes her away. Talk about being dramatic. She did nothing wrong, yet he acts like a brat. I'd knock some sense into him. 1 week later, 𝒂𝒈𝒆's shattered body finally mends. As he channels his dark energy, the cult leader arrives. Weary of his hollow quest for revenge, 𝒂𝒈𝒆 despairs. The leader calmly shares his own path to the top. Study the archives of the great elders, he advises. In time, their ancient wisdom will awaken your dormant intellect. While searching for the scrolls, 𝒂𝒈𝒆 rushes in. Soso is devastated by 𝒂𝒈𝒆's coldness and refuses speech. Realizing his foolishness, the young mage sprints to Soso. He begs forgiveness, a rare moment of youthful sincerity. Though he came empty-handed, Soso's kind heart relents. A lesser woman would have demanded a banquet of apology. Despite warnings to stay hidden, the treacherous Manhwa roams the Tang estate as if he owns the realm. Under the moonlight, he corners the Tang family heiress. She is fuming over the chaos he brought her house. The villain scoffs, claiming everything is under control. He mockingly tells her to sleep before her beauty fades. Infuriated by his arrogance and the threat of the poison dragon, the young lady turns her back in disgust. She issues a chilling warning. Finish your business before my father returns, then vanishes into the dark night. A secret letter arrives from Manhwa, stirring unease. Nearby, 𝒂𝒈𝒆 approaches with a new, burning resolve. He seeks to wander the world to sharpen his soul. Seeing his iron will, the leader grants his blessing. May you find your path, the leader says, and stay alive, for the world is crawling with monsters. The cult gathers to bid their rising star farewell. Soso gifts him divine pills to bolster his vital essence. As 𝒂𝒈𝒆 departs, the leader prepares to hunt Manhwa, heedless of the mountain's many lethal traps. High in the peaks, Manhwa enjoys roasted potatoes amidst his traps. He gazes at the moon, completely relaxed. Suddenly, a shadow flickers. 𝒏𝒈𝒉𝒐𝒏𝒈𝒆 appears and strikes with a blow that sends the villain flying hundreds of meters. Outmatched, Manhwa tries to plead, but another devastating palm strike crushes his defense and his desperate counterattack. 𝒏𝒈𝒉𝒐𝒏𝒈𝒆 views his struggle as mere child's play. He prepares to end the rat's life without even drawing steel, but a hidden letter from 𝒏𝒈𝒉𝒐𝒏𝒈𝒆's late wife falls out. Memories flood back, and the legend spares the rat. Elsewhere, 𝒂𝒈𝒆 treks through the forest. He senses a presence someone is hunting him from the thick shadows. He recalls the leader's warning. The three great factions of Sichuan watch every suspicious soul within their borders. They are merely observing, yet the feeling of a shadow clinging to his back bores the young dark mage. 𝒂𝒈𝒆 decides to vanish. To his shock, his pursuer is just a fledgling boy with a runny nose. The boy, a Qingcheng disciple, intended to report 𝒂𝒈𝒆's poison cleansing skills, but dreaded his master's harsh lessons. Choosing freedom over scrolls and beatings, the boy decides to follow the mysterious mage instead of returning home. The little disciple loses the trail and fumes in frustration. By dusk, 𝒂𝒈𝒆 finally exits the dense woods. Seeking a quiet meal, the mage enters an inn. Yet, his mind wanders, leaving his warm food untouched. The persistent boy bursts through the door, exhausted and starving. He finally spots 𝒂𝒈𝒆 sitting in the corner. Seeing no malice in the child, 𝒂𝒈𝒆 allows him to eat. The boy grumbles about his stingy master. My master sent me out with 0 gold. He complains while shoving food into his mouth like a beast. Suddenly, 𝒂𝒈𝒆 speaks. That food is poisoned. The boy freezes in terror, his mouth agape with pure shock. 𝒂𝒈𝒆 points to 2 figures lurking nearby. They are the ones who laced your meal with deadly venom. The culprits are from the Tang family. Enraged, the boy confronts them for poisoning a meal in neutral territory. He screams that any who harm the 3 factions will face the total annihilation of their entire bloodline. Bored by the noise, 𝒂𝒈𝒆 moves to leave. Suddenly, an assassin hurls a deadly chopstick at his back. The boy, surprises everyone. With 2 fingers, he snatches the lethal projectile right out of the air. He counters with blinding speed, nearly taking the assassin's life until the Tang heiress intervenes with a whip. As the dust settles, 𝒂𝒈𝒆 simply walks away. The boy follows, demanding the antidote while chasing the mage. The Tang warriors relented, handing over the cure to avoid a diplomatic war with the boy's powerful Qingcheng sect. Tired of the chase, the boy asks to travel as a friend. I just need someone to talk to. Seeing no evil in the lad, 𝒂𝒈𝒆 accepts. The boy wonders why such a powerful master stayed calm. Why didn't you crush them? He asks. Jiakang sighs. I have no gold to pay for broken furniture. 𝒂𝒈 stares in disbelief. Even a supreme mage must worry about the price of a shattered tavern table. Following you was the right call. The kid is shocked, despite his master's warnings of your cruelty. Seeing is believing. Brags that in Sichuan, no one dares touch the 𝒂𝒓𝒐𝒏𝒈𝒆𝒓's prestige. Zhang feels a bitter void. While he's drowning in a sea of hatred and constant fear of assassination, this brat lives a carefree life under the massive protective umbrella of a powerful sect. Even the Tang clan thugs retreat before the 𝒂𝒓𝒐𝒏𝒈𝒆 name. The two bicker and split paths. At Mount Laoshun, the demon cult leader arrives to meet the treacherous old snake, Manhwa. The deal was the poison dragon for the still dragon, but since she freed him, she'll just steal it. Manhwa realizes she's different. She doesn't walk the typical path of the demonic monsters. She knew the brat Jin gang was walking into a death trap and chose to give him a chance. The cult leader thought she was the predator, but she's walked straight into Manhwa's web. As she reaches for the treasure, the trap springs. The still dragon awakens with a lethal strike. That crippled Manhwa seizes his chance. The leader dances through a storm of hidden blades. What a treacherous snake! He didn't just bring reinforcements. He's raining down a barrage of poison. Outnumbered but undaunted, her loyal shadows, 1 stash and 2 stash, form an iron wall of defense. Amidst the beautiful chaos of steel, a poison needle finds its mark, draining the leader's strength. In a flash of cold steel, her arm is severed. The cost of this ambush is devastatingly high. Circulate your chi and you die, Manhwa mocks. But she's ready to ignite her very soul. Tustache grabs the dying leader and plunges into the river, leaving his brother to hold the line. 1 stash can't hold them forever. Within 30 seconds, he is suppressed. The leader has vanished. Fuming, Manhwa orders a downstream hunt. For these mercenaries, gold is the only god they serve. Deep in the Sichuan forests, Zhang and his shadow continue their weary, endless trek. Why is your leg broken? Why call you a demon if you haven't killed anyone? The brat pestered. Zhang endures the interrogation. If it were me, I'd have slapped the curiosity out of him. Watch and learn, Zhang says, echoing the wisdom the cult leader once bestowed upon him. Then, lets it slip the sanctuary. Zhang just left is marked for total and absolute annihilation. Downstream, the cult leader survives by a miracle. But she's lost her arm and her loyal guard. Rage blazes in her eyes. She swears a blood oath to make that crippled snake pay in full. The 3 great powers are mobilizing to crush the demon cult, all because of their link to Zhang. Sensing the danger, Zhang tries to rush back, but uses his bells to bind him. In his moment of desperation, a black snake appears. He devours it raw to reclaim his lost power. A gift from the Tang clan to test if the poison dragon title is just a hollow legend. Lady Tang Hajian steps forward, her presence commanding. She orders to let the boy go. Mesmerized by her beauty and status, the brat backs off, leaving Zhang to follow his destiny. But the boy won't stay away. Using his godlike speed, catches up to him in an instant. Zhang is a walking corpse. With his current state, he'll die before reaching the cult's gates. Get on my back. Right or wrong, the brat chooses to carry him toward the coming storm. The battered leader and her guard finally reach home, their bodies broken and drenched in blood. The disciples scream for vengeance, but she cruelly casts them away to save their lives. Run while you can, she commands. She intends to face the coming end entirely alone, but these outcasts owe her their lives. They'll stay and die by her side without a single regret. At the Murim Alliance base, the shadows gather. Blazhong arrives with a grim, bloody trophy. The cult leader's severed arm. A disappointing prize, but a harbinger of the massacre to come. A grand war is brewing between 𝒂𝒂𝒈 and the cult, a masterpiece of chaos designed by Manhwa. Let the play begin, they sneer. That crippled old man is quite the director of destruction. The Alliance leader orders his safety. He wants to see the face of this brilliant, twisted strategist. The disciples braced for the ultimate showdown. 𝒂𝒈𝒆's desperate plea for reinforcements hung in the balance. The enemy arrived before the cavalry could. A massive horde, yet their commander remained hidden in the shadows. Beyond sparked the fuse with biting insults. Zhang Yuang of the Nam Shuyan sect emerged, looking like a common thug. While others hesitated, the one-armed cult leader struck first. Her devastating blow nearly claimed Zhang Yuang's life instantly. Suddenly, the enigmatic 𝒏𝒐𝒏𝒈𝒆𝒓 intervened with ease. An overseer had arrived to shift the scales of fate. Claiming her role as a neutral judge, she suppressed the leader. She couldn't let this monster end the war too soon. With the seal placed, total war erupted. Disciples clashed in a chaotic symphony of steel and blood. The so-called righteous sects showed no mercy. They slaughtered the innocent, leaving only tragedy in their wake. The cult leader prepared her final strike. But the Tang clan's poison paralyzed her at the critical moment. As 𝒏𝒐𝒏𝒈𝒆𝒓 moved for the kill, a cold presence arrived. 𝒂𝒈𝒆's eyes burned with a dark, vengeful fury. A hail of hidden weapons forced the overseer back. 𝒂𝒈𝒆 had arrived to protect the fallen leader. "I am the poison dragon!" With one swift motion, he sent John Yuong to his grave. Terror gripped the battlefield at his name. But the true monster, 𝒏𝒐𝒏𝒈𝒆𝒓, still stood in his way. The observer finally discarded her mask. She lunged at the poison dragon with bloodthirsty intent. The duel was relentless and unforgiving. Every strike from the overseer carried the weight of death. The cult leader watched in agony, her body broken by poison. She was powerless to aid her savior. 300 rounds passed in a flash of steel. Yet, 𝒂𝒈𝒆 was merely a toy in her sadistic game. Young Ung stepped in to break the deadlock. He challenged the overseer's hypocritical sense of justice. Ung and 𝒂𝒈𝒆 combined their strength. But the overseer's blade carved through their hopes, wounding 𝒂𝒈𝒆 deeply. Desperate, Ung unleashed a legendary sonic treasure. The divine frequency shattered the overseer's composure. 𝒏𝒐𝒏𝒈𝒆𝒓 writhed in agony from the sound. It seemed the tide had finally turned against her. But the monster's resolve was terrifying. She pierced her own eardrums, trading her hearing for cold-blooded slaughter. She shattered the treasure and left Ung broken. Her wicked laughter echoed as she prepared the finishing blow. As hope faded, 𝒂𝒈𝒆 felt the weight of defeat. But the cult leader refused to let him fall. "It is too early to surrender, young warrior." Her voice breathed new life into his dying spirit. "Consume the rebirth pill and witness the forbidden. I shall grant you the ultimate secret of our sect." Behold the 5 Thunder Zen arts. The dark energy surged, awakening a power that defied the heavens. As the overseer closed in, 𝒂𝒈𝒆 entered a trance. He saw the shadow of the legendary Yuga. The Emerald 9 Light Thunder art took hold. A supreme magic was born from the depths of his soul. With a single needle, he struck like a falling star. The overseer's sword failed to stop the inevitable. Blinded and broken, the overseer fled into the night. She vowed to return with a legion for vengeance. With their leader gone, the cowards surrendered. The demon cult disciples thirsted for their blood. The cult leader stayed their blades for now. Mercy was granted, but judgment would come by morning. She approached 𝒂𝒈𝒆 with a weary smile, thanking the poison dragon for saving her people, the weight of the fallen heavy on his heart. Tragedy was the price of their hard-won survival. "We must live to honor the dead," she whispered. "One day, the world will answer for this bloodshed." Safety was gone, and a new home was needed. The order to evacuate was given immediately. 𝒂𝒈𝒆 followed, knowing he had finally found home. These were the people he was destined to protect. Manhwa arrived to find only ghosts and ruins. The prisoners spoke of the poison dragon's legendary triumph. The news of the overseer's defeat spread like wildfire. 𝒂𝒈𝒆 had achieved the impossible. Manhwa laughed, pride swelling in his chest. He had truly created a monster that would shake the world. The Tang clan arrived, but Manhwa was already gone. He vanished like a storm, leaving only his legacy. Beyond teased young Ung about his future expulsion. The boy's face turned pale at the thought. Ung sat in terrified silence, dreading the sect's laws. The battle was over, but his troubles were just beginning. The cult leader tried to pass on her legacy, but Ung's endless questions drove her to a much-needed nap. The Ingam Mi hunters tracked the cult's convoy, ready to slaughter. But Bukchun's strike shattered their plans. This master of the Azure Cloud sect intervened instantly. His favorite pupil was inside, and he demanded justice. Bukchun's aura exploded, a silent command to vanish. Sensing his overwhelming power, the nuns fled in terror. Cursing his name, they vanished into the dark shadows. Just then, Lady Tang Hajian of the Tangs emerged. She was captivated by Gu Gang's legendary growth, a man who defied logic by crushing far superior foes. From poison sects to blue dragons, he conquered all. Now, the terrifying 𝒏𝒐𝒏𝒈𝒆𝒓 was his next target. Most called it suicide, a reckless path to death. Yet, Gu Gang never wavered, standing tall against fate. He walked the blood-soaked road of a true warrior. Against all odds, he emerged as the sole victor. His lineage was cursed, his forbidden arts dark. There was no nobility in his shadow-stained, supreme power. His throne was built on pure, unyielding willpower. Meanwhile, the cunning Manhwa reached the Tang stronghold. Lost at the gates, a beautiful maiden guided him. Manhwa was stunned by the fortress's hidden grandeur. He met the legendary Rakshasa Tang Trung, the retired shadow master who still ruled with an iron fist. Face to face with the Rakshasa, Manhwa froze. The old man's cruelty was legendary, killing without hesitation. It was a display of a horrific new toxin. The Rakshasa offered the lethal brew to Manhwa. Manhwa declined, preferring to wait for perfection. For returning the poison dragon, he received a legendary gift. He was granted a pill of 20 years' power. Manhwa grinned, imagining this for his brother, 𝒂𝒈𝒆. But the old fox wasn't finished with him yet. He boldly proposed a marriage between Hajian and 𝒂𝒈𝒆. It was a shocking move for a crippled ally. Manhwa continued to gamble everything on 𝒂𝒂𝒆's ascension. The Rakshasa erupted in laughter at the audacity. For 10 years, nothing had been this entertaining or bold. However, the poison dragon's dark reputation was troublesome. A marriage would turn the righteous world against them. Manhwa smirked, claiming identities are easily forged. He would paint 𝒂𝒂𝒆 as a hidden sect hero. First, they had to sow discord among sages. Seeing the brilliant trap, the Rakshasa offered his divine protection. He handed over a royal jade pendant. With this, Manhwa became untouchable in the vast martial world. To test the master, Manhwa slammed the jade. A move so bold, it left guards breathless with shock. The Rakshasa was intrigued by such raw fearlessness. Manhwa then shared a secret about the sage's arrival. With the deal sealed, Manhwa made his exit. He cackled internally, now backed by a titan of shadows. Back with 𝒂𝒂𝒆, the cult survivors were collapsing. They found a small, quiet inn to rest their souls. At the stroke of midnight, 𝒂𝒂𝒆 visited. The dying master knew his remaining time was short and heavy. He bestowed 2 forbidden techniques upon the mage. The 9 light void and thunder meditation were now his. These spells were keys to crushing the traitor. 𝒂𝒂𝒆 swore to bring absolute divine retribution upon him. Elsewhere, Bak Li-jong fumed over a failed delivery. His package was returned, containing only a severed limb. The blue dragon interrupted, begging for gold. He was kicked out like a common street dog instantly. By dawn, 𝒂𝒂𝒆 had mastered a new strategy. He declared that the most dangerous place was safest. He ordered everyone to return to their sect. The group panicked, fearing the deadly Mount Chongxiang Pass. 𝒂𝒂𝒆 then turned to Ung with a smile. He asked the boy to play the hostage role. Ung was speechless at his brother's twisted plan. Yet, the group followed, venturing into the jaws of death. 2 grueling days passed reaching West Sichuan. The Azure Cloud sect detected the intruders on their soil. Master Buk-chun confronted them with a thunderous voice. He scolded Ung for aiding the dark demon cult. He claimed Ung was no longer his disciple. The boy's heart shattered, though the plan worked perfectly fine. Despite his cold words, Buk-chun saw desperation. He drew a line, offering them a silent path forward. With the decision made, he set off for home. But the long journey back was crawling with deadly peril. Finally reaching Mount Qingcheng, the Taoist masters were instantly alerted to the presence of intruders on their land. Buk-chun arrived in a rage, blaming Ung for dragging the Qingcheng sect into this spiraling vortex of chaos. Ung had played the hostage for the demonic cult. Disgusted, the master officially disowned him as his disciple forever. Despite his cold mask, Buk-chun saw the cult was cornered. Fate was now being written in blood and steel. Shadows stir within the ruins as a hidden master prepares for a lethal trial. Gang demands protection, but the price is high. Survive 3 deadly strikes or perish. Defying the odds, he endures the assault. A monster's true potential begins to awaken. Battered and bloody, Gang stands firm. The sect senses their legendary savior has arrived. At Tang headquarters, the villainous Manhwa weaves a web of absolute dark treachery. Hajian is forced to shed her disguise for a marriage to a rotting fossil. Fury explodes. She refuses to be a pawn and strikes down the repulsive groom. Manhwa offers a twisted choice: absolute obedience or a slow, agonizing death by poison. Her mission is seduction. Hajian burns with hatred as she targets the poison dragon. Bound by the jade seal, she begins a cursed journey toward a fate she loathes. On the mountain, Gang's forbidden dark magic training reaches a terrifying new level of power. A fleeting moment of peace is shattered by the creeping shadows of an upcoming war. Under the cold moonlight, Yua seeks Gang, her soul heavy with a secret, poisonous agony. The toxin has reached her marrow. One wrong move means certain, soul-crushing death. Only the Tang family's forbidden alchemy can save her from this encroaching, dark oblivion. Jian arrives with fire in her eyes, challenging Gang to a duel of destiny. A stormborn battle begins, as Buk-chun watches the clash of two supreme legacies. Venomous needles rain down while the earth shatters under their massive, colliding spiritual auras. Even a reincarnated soul struggles against Jian's relentless and lethal martial grace. Refusing defeat, Gang's eyes glow with lightning as his supreme dark magic finally erupts. 500 rounds of chaos ensue. Bloodied but unbowed, Gang's power reaches its peak. Jian falters, seeing the unshakable freedom he wields like a divine, sharp blade. Holding the killing blow, the huntress chooses her own path and stays her hand. In a stunning reversal, the Tang princess yields to her newly chosen king's strength. The sect rejoices. Jian kneels, swearing her eternal loyalty to the rising supreme mage. She offers him everything, but Gang's heart is set only on total world conquest. He accepts her alliance, unaware that the antidote she carries hides a lethal secret. It's a trap. Mangrio's treachery proves he plays with human lives like a god. The villain demands the 8 most forbidden toxins to cement his dark, absolute rule, a single drop to slay gods. Mangrio's thirst for domination knows no earthly bounds. His minions tremble in fear. Chained by the power of the cursed Jade Seal, high on Qingcheng Mountain, a secret meeting signals the start of a global catastrophe. Great sects plot a massacre that will plunge the entire world into bloody chaos. Is Buk-chun the strongest? No. A more terrifying shadow looms over the martial world. Enter Mu-am, the true master. A monster in human skin, with unfathomable dark power. His presence alone crushes spirits. A nightmare awaits any who dare to oppose him. Jian weeps in shame, but Gang reveals a bond forged in ancient vengeance. 9 years ago, Mangrio slaughtered his family. The debt of blood starts now. A dark alliance is born. Together, they will hunt the monster and reclaim destiny. Despair nearly takes her, but Gang's strength becomes her anchor in the rising storm. The Tang plot is revealed, a mass genocide using forbidden poisons on innocent lives. Gang and Yua face the abyss, racing to stop the world from burning away. The plan is set. Under the cover of night, the final war begins to stir. In the deep dungeons, a new hero faces a brutal trial against the Rakshasa. Mun Pyong unleashes his 5-element kicks. The battle for the soul begins now. The Rakshasa monk strikes. With 3 lethal moves, Mun Pyong collapses. A mere puppet for testing forbidden poisons. Watching the toxin spread, the monk laughs. Mastering the supreme Sun-Yang arts is finally within his grasp. By the riverside near Qingcheng, Gang bathes. A shadow lingers. It is Jian, watching him secretly. She came to offer her gratitude. A final farewell before returning to the Tang family's den of vipers. Facing her family alone meant death. Gang makes a choice. He will marry her to infiltrate them. A fake wedding for a dark mission. Jian blushes, asking how they should act on their night. Just turn out the lights. Gang grins as they depart toward the Tang family's hidden mountain fortress. Elsewhere, the crippled Masbun Ma-ogan seethes. He vows to hunt Gang down and seek vengeance. As he prepares to strike, Mangrio appears. Driven by shared hatred, they forge a dark, lethal alliance. Their goal is simple: destroy the Qingcheng sect. They use the Tang family crest to ignite a war. The following dawn, the pair leaves the cult. A fake marriage begins a journey into the shadows. Everyone is shocked by the news. Even the cult leader wonders why he would choose such danger. With blessings given, they travel. Jian asks Gang to use his phantom steps for speed. He refuses, wanting a back ride instead. They walk until nightfall, reaching an inn with 1 room. The classic trope, Jian is flustered. Gang, the gentleman, takes the floor, leaving her the bed. Under the moonlight, secrets are shared. Gang speaks of a past consumed by blood and deep vengeance. Jian feels his sorrow. She hopes to find him a spark of happiness amidst this cruel darkness. Meanwhile, Mangrio prepares for the coming slaughter. The Tang family headquarters finally looms in the distance. They arrive at last. 𝒂𝒈 smiles, plotting. Inside, 𝒂𝒈 stares at her crimson wedding dress. Is this just a calculation? Or is true love blooming in this web of lies and dark magic? 𝒂𝒈 wanders the city and meets Manhwa. A reunion filled with killing intent and old scars. 𝒐𝒏𝒈𝒆𝒔𝒕 attacks, but Manhwa stops him. The wedding must proceed for their plan. Called to a feast, 𝒂𝒈 meets the parents, but his senses tingle. These are mere fake impostors. He acts like a rogue to provoke them. Suddenly, the Rakshasa monk appears with a sinister smile. 𝒂𝒈 is surrounded by Sichuan's strongest. The monk and the nun, masters of the dark arts. They plan to erase Qingcheng. 𝒂𝒈 enters in her wedding gown, urging the ceremony to begin. But 𒂂𝒈 sees the truth. He demands answers from the monk, his killing intent now rising. The monk gives him 3 paths. Return and die with your sect, or join the Tang bloodline. Forget the past and embrace a new name. The Tang family will shield you from the world. Or the third choice, castration. Trade your manhood for the realm's most forbidden, supreme, dark martial arts. 𒂂𝒈 chooses a 4th path, assassination. He lunges, but the nun blocks him like a child. A duel begins. The monk uses only 3 hairs to overwhelm 𒂂𝒈's supreme dark magic potential. Defeat is absolute. Visions of death flash before his eyes. The gap in power is a chasm. Intrigued by his resilience, the monk spares him. For now, 𒂂𝒈 is cast into a dungeon. 𝒂𝒈 watches him bleed. Pity stirs in her heart. The game of shadows has only begun. Realizing the Tang family's involvement, he demanded answers. The old monk offered 3 choices, with a chilling smile. First, return to Qingcheng. Accept your judgment, and perish alongside the rest of these doomed souls. Second, marry Heron and take the Tang name. You must swear eternal loyalty and forget your entire past. Start a new life under our protection. The Tang family will bear the weight of all your future sins. Third, sacrifice your manhood for supreme power. 𝒂𝒈 feigned agreement, hiding a lethal blade for a desperate strike. His assassination attempt was brushed aside like child's play. Cornered, he challenged the monk to a 1 versus 1 duel. The monk stepped forward. With just 3 strands of energy, he showed 𝒂𝒈 the true meaning of despair. Utterly crushed, visions of his own funeral flashed before his eyes. The shadow of death loomed closer than ever. Intrigued by the boy's survival, the Rakshasa monk decided to toy with him before locking him in the vault. Seeing him beaten and broken, 𝒂𝒈 felt a flicker of pity as she approached his battered body. Awakening in chains, 𝒂𝒈 wept like a broken child. His lethal toxins and hidden blades stripped away. Locked in the Tang's forbidden vault, the arrogant 𝒏𝒐𝒏𝒈𝒆𝒄 sneered, flaunting the clan's stolen treasures and secret arts. The Rakshasa granted him 10 days to master these scrolls before his ultimate torment began, a cruel, deadly game. 𝒏𝒐𝒏𝒈𝒆𝒄 treated our hero like mere trash, unaware of the supreme dark magic beginning to stir within him. Despite the endless insults, 𝒂𝒈's cold gaze promised a bloodbath, a look that left 𝒏𝒐𝒏𝒈𝒆𝒄 feeling strangely unsettled. The lazy warden spent his days lounging and beating 𝒂𝒈, enjoying a life of unearned luxury and arrogance. Meanwhile, Manhwa watched the sunset. Tomorrow was the 10th day, the day the world would finally burn. He wondered if the Rakshasa sought to turn �𝒈 into a weapon or simply break his iron will. In this den of snakes, the old cripple was the only soul truly worried for our protagonist's fate. Without his secret meddling, the legend of the poisoned dragon would have ended before it even began. As the old man plotted a rescue, smoke suddenly billowed from the treasury, choking the midday sky. He laughed in triumph. His little brother was finally unleashing the chaos he had long anticipated. The Tang warriors scrambled to fight the blaze, but the forbidden flames only spread with supernatural fury. 𝒏𝒐𝒏𝒈𝒆𝒄 stood paralyzed. He had removed every spark, yet �𝒈 had summoned fire from pure dark energy. Using the soul-scorching art, �𝒈 turned the clan's entire history into a massive, roaring funeral pyre. Centuries of records were turning to ash, threatening the clan's very foundation and their mountain of gold. If the fire reached the trade ledgers, the Tang's commercial empire would crumble into nothingness overnight. If the archives and the poisoned dragon are lost, I'm dead, 𝒏𝒐𝒏𝒈𝒆𝒄 realized, his face pale with terror. Driven by desperation, 𝒏𝒐𝒏𝒈𝒆𝒄 led his goons into the inferno to settle the score with the burning brat. From the swirling shadows, �𝒈 unleashed the 12 flying arrows, silently executing the fodder in an instant. 𝒏𝒐𝒏𝒈𝒆𝒄 barely survived the strike, horrified that a weaponless prisoner could wield such devastating, forbidden power. He struck with triple poison palms, but Gang countered with a supreme technique that shattered his defense. Cloaked in embers and dust, the dark mage vanished into the chaos, leaving his enemies in the dirt. At the lady's manor, 𝒕𝒓𝒐𝒏𝒈𝒆𝒔𝒕 watched the smoke rise, her heart trembling for her captive betrothed. A wounded Manhwa appeared, handing her a secret antidote and a weapon of legend he'd stolen. It was the soul-piercing arrow, one of the 10 ultimate treasures of the Tang clan's forbidden arsenal. The old man had risked his life to steal it, betting everything on Gang's path to world conquest. He begged her to save him. Now, the young mistress faced a choice: her bloodline or her heart. Betraying the clan meant forfeiting her dream of leadership, yet she couldn't let her love perish alone. Choosing love, she moved. Meanwhile, the Rakshasa watched his life's work burn, his rage reaching divine levels. His pride was in ruins. He vowed to skin Gang alive and drink his blood for this humiliation. Reports came in, 𝒕𝒏𝒐𝒏𝒈𝒆 was missing in the fire, and Manhwa had vanished like a ghost. Disguised as a guard, Gang slipped past the perimeter, nearly escaping the burning fortress undetected by the masses. But from the high rooftops, the vengeful Maogan of the 𝒂𝒂𝒈𝒆𝒔𝒕 spotted him. She wanted her revenge. Still scarred from their last encounter, the crazed woman lunged, unleashing a relentless storm of deadly strikes. Without his allies, Gang was driven to the edge, his dark growth not yet enough to survive alone. Suddenly, 𝒕𝒓𝒐𝒏𝒈𝒆𝒔 stepped in. Maogan was stunned. The Tang princess was protecting the clan's greatest enemy? So, you'd die for him? The assassin mocked, preparing to send both lovers to an early grave. 𝒕𝒓𝒈𝒆𝒔 struck back with her ghost tail whip, a powerful strike that sent the crazed woman flying back. She pressed the antidote into Gang's hand, whispering her love and begging him to escape while he could. Maogan roared in fury, charging like a demon to swallow the 2 young souls in her madness. The assassin's experience was overwhelming. With a brutal flurry, she quickly brought the young mistress to her knees. Seeing his bride to be in mortal danger, Gang prepared to stay, but she screamed for him to run. "I am a Tang. They won't kill me," she lied, watching as her hero vanished into the night. As Maogan raised her blade for the kill, the 𝒂𝒂𝒈𝒆𝒔𝒕 leader appeared, stopping the madness with one hand. Defying the master's orders, a massive strike sends 𝒕𝒓𝒐𝒏𝒈𝒆𝒔 crashing through the walls. Enraged, he prepares to strike back. A flurry of slaps leaves his head spinning. The sect master barks that killing him now would leave no one to confess. Let Gang escape for now. A better show awaits. Realizing the master is right, the woman falls silent, terrified to speak. If 𝒕𝒓𝒐𝒏𝒈𝒆𝒔 cannot even win a one-on-one, then the other sect leaders stand no chance at all. They might as well surrender. This boss is too broken. Meanwhile, Gang realizes things have spiraled completely out of control. The Rakshasa reports the chaos to the Tang family head and Madame 𝒕𝒓𝒈𝒆𝒔𝒕, desperately seeking a way to respond to this threat. The old Rakshasa regrets his mercy. By letting Gang go, he has unleashed a monster that threatens their very existence. The Tang family faces an unprecedented peril. They must decide 𝒕𝒓𝒈𝒆𝒔's fate before the world starts prying into their secrets. Despite her status, betraying the sect is the ultimate sin for a direct descendant. Madame 𝒕𝒓𝒈𝒆𝒔 issues a cold, final decree. 𝒕𝒓𝒈𝒆𝒔 is cast into the dark dungeon until Gang is captured. Surprisingly, she obeys and waits in the shadows in silence. In the darkness, she longs for him, the man who would burn his own soul for revenge. Her curiosity has turned into obsession. She wondered why he pushed himself to such tragic lengths. In every bloody battle, his spirit never wavered, not even for a second. But knowing her family was the source of his pain, she felt unworthy of him. Her heart shattered into a million pieces. Just as despair took hold, a familiar voice called out. Since he lacked high-speed movement, Gang had staged a fake escape. He was actually hiding right inside the Tang estate. 𝒕𝒓𝒈𝒆𝒔 is shocked. Why didn't he run while he still had the chance? He either missed her dearly, or he needed her legendary movement skills to help him fly away like a bird to safety. This was a move no one could have predicted. Truly a master of deception. I can't help but admire his sheer audacity. Seeing 𝒕𝒓𝒈𝒆𝒔's injured leg, Gang quickly offers a massage. This guy is slicker than a fox, taking every chance he gets. 𝒕𝒓𝒈𝒆𝒔 teases that touching her leg means marriage. She then teaches him the secret ghost arrow technique in record time. It didn't take long for the Tang elders to find him. They rushed to the dungeon, only to find the sect master waiting. Sensing the elder's murderous intent, Ji-gang and Ha-jian take the high-profile prisoners as shields to secure their narrow escape. These prisoners are too valuable to kill, forcing the elder's hand. Seeing Ji-gang's defiance, the elder tries to bribe him instead. He offers his granddaughter's hand and wealth, but Ji-gang's response is a cold middle finger to the entire Tang family legacy. Realizing they are just burdens, the prisoners beg Ji-gang for the mercy of death. With a heavy heart, he ends them all. He vows to avenge every single one of them. Seeing his precious human experiments destroyed, the Tang elder erupts in a primal rage. He prepares his final, devastating move, but Madame Tang Gayok intervenes. After all, this is the man her granddaughter loves so much. She grants them a chance to prove their bond, gifting Ha-jian a ring as a sign of her reluctant, cold blessing. But there is a price. If Ha-jian doesn't repent within 100 days, elite assassins will hunt them until their last breath. She even sends the Flying Fox squad leader to watch them. A grandmother's love is truly terrifying and absolute in this world. Once clear of the Tang estate, Ha-jian cheers like a free spirit. The crushing pressure of her family is finally gone forever. Now, all she wants is to live a simple life by his side. They decide their wedding outfits look a bit strange. They agree to change clothes, but first, a refreshing bath is mandatory. They soon find a hidden, shimmering lake in the woods. Memories of bathing naked here flood back to Ha-jian. She boldly invites Ji-gang to join her, but he remains hesitant. His eyes wander as he spots 3 other beauties bathing nearby. He stares intensely at their perfect, round figures, without blinking once. Jealous and furious, Ha-jian screams, scaring the girls away. After cleaning up, they find a small, cozy cave to rest their bones. She confesses that the ring contains a potent love potion. Her grandmother wanted her to force his submission to the Tang family, but she couldn't do it because her love for him is real. Just as she prepares to throw the medicine away, he stops her. He grabs her hand and downs the entire potion. That night, their flames of passion burned brighter than any fire in the cave. Back at Mount Qingcheng, Mu'am meets Yue to discuss secret matters. He's almost glad he's blind so he can't see her pain. Seeing her lose an arm breaks his heart. It turns out, these two shared a deep, passionate history long before this war began. Watching Ji-gang and Ha-jian's affection made her crave her own past love. She called Mu'am here to rekindle their flame. She missed their intimate nights, but Mu'am feared it would bring shame to the Qingcheng sect's holy reputation and their vows. When she mentioned her desires, Mu'am flashed a truly wicked, lustful grin. He bragged that he would gladly quit his position. Finding his behavior too childish, she kicked him out, telling him to return only when he has truly grown into a man. What a fool! If he had just played it cool, he wouldn't be sleeping alone in the cold tonight. Mu'am retreats. After settling their debts, Ji-gang retreated to the shadows of the forbidden forest. He sought the 9 sacred vessels of the 9 light poison dwelling. Dark essence flowed through his dantians, his wrists, and his feet. This was the forbidden path to absolute power and dark domination. The final poison reservoir lay hidden in his back. In the Tang territory, such evolution was impossible, but here, his growth was limitless. His internal energy was leaking like a fractured soul. Just then, Mu'am appeared, offering the secrets of supreme breath control. Hold your breath and pierce the void below your stomach, the master commanded. Straighten your spine and unseal the 100 meetings point. By expanding his lower gates, Ji-gang felt a surge of divine tranquility. The toxins that shackled his potential were finally purged. A single night of legendary guidance allowed Ji-gang to transcend. He finally grasped the profound truth. Yin and Yang are one. Bowing to Mu'am, he realized his journey had only begun. Meanwhile, a chaotic rumor spread through the valley like wildfire. Word of the great demon lord residing in Mount Qingcheng drew cultists from everywhere. The once peaceful territory became a war zone. The Qingcheng sect guarded their borders with iron blood. One fool tried to force his way in, but destiny had other plans. A flash of sword intent sliced through the air, painting the ground red. Bukchun's slumber was interrupted by these pathetic ants. These storm soldiers were nothing but common thieves and fallen monks. Among them was a siren who stole techniques through sound. Using the eerie cries of children, she forced masters to surrender their secrets. A truly vile art, born from the shadows. Even Gurun of the 8 heavenly demons stood among them. Yet to Bukchun, They were just amateurs playing with fire. "You are all just thugs who know nothing of true martial arts," 𝒂𝒈𝒆 sneered. He dropped a bombshell that silenced the crowd. The demon lord required 15 days to heal his divine wounds. An arrogant giant tried to brush 𒂂𝒈𝒆 aside. A fatal mistake. With a mere flick of 3 fingers, the giant was sent to his grave. The remaining trash trembled, their courage turning to ash. "Return in 15 days if you wish to see your god," 𒂂𝒈𝒆 declared. He turned his back, leaving them in terror. Back in training, Manhwa used chess to sharpen Zhigang's mind. This was the key to the 5 Thunder Zen art. Since the master was blind, the game transcended the physical. Zhigang had to use internal energy to mold shells into pieces, but his raw power only turned the shells to dust. Frustrated, Zhigang nearly gave up, finding the mental battle too tedious. Manhwa warned him, "Master the shells, or remain a lowly laborer forever." There was no room for weakness on this path. The thought of his beloved Hagan suffering in poverty fueled his resolve. For her, he would conquer even the impossible. After crushing thousands of shells throughout the sleepless night, his spirit reached a breaking point. But he refused to stay a nobody. At dawn, Manhwa checked on his disciple's progress. The master sensed a change in the air. The weakling had finally awakened. Despite his blindness, Manhwa saw the perfect chess pieces. He smiled, ready to unveil the next stage of forbidden growth. Move by move, they played a game that mirrored the heavens. Manhwa began to speak of a legend from his past. He spoke of a brother-in-arms who once mastered the 5 Thunder art, a man who shared a 20-year-long match. That legendary friend was now rotting in a cell within the Murim Alliance, a prisoner of the so-called righteous sects. Manhwa handed Zhigang a single, glowing chess piece. "Find him, and the ultimate dark magic will be yours to command." Their bond solidified over a drink, unaware of the storm brewing elsewhere. Deep in a cave, a monster was plotting. Manhwa coughed blood, the price of using the heavenly bloodburst. His target was the head of the entire Murim world. The Alliance headquarters in Jiangxi was a fortress of light. But Manhwa walked in, carrying a scheme darker than night. He was to face the 3 sovereigns, the absolute rulers of the martial world. These were the kings of both light and shadow. From the northern heavens to the mystic order, these legends held the world's fate. Manhwa approached with a deceptive smile. He offered a simple gift to the Alliance leader's guard, a bag containing wine and fruit, hiding a deadly intent. The guard was suspicious, but Manhwa's acting was flawless. He played the part of a humble traveler to perfection. The leader was intrigued by this man who had crossed paths with Yuga, a man whose name was synonymous with chaos. For years, no one had dared to disturb the peace of the martial world like this. They sat down for a fateful drink, but as the wine touched his lips, Manhwa's world began to spin. The hunter had become the hunted in an instant. The Alliance leader had predicted the assassination attempt from the start. He had poisoned the very wine Manhwa brought. Defeated and dying, Manhwa begged to know where he failed. The leader looked down at him with cold, divine eyes. He knew of Blaeyong's seclusion and the severed arm of Yuga. The trail of salt and blood was too obvious. "A trap this shallow could never catch a tiger," the leader whispered. He saw right through the pathetic facade of the schemer. Yet, killing him would be too boring. The martial world needed a villain to keep things interesting for the coming storm. With a mere touch, the Alliance leader leveled the entire building. He left a chilling promise of a future massacre. "I mistook this white-haired elder for a frail relic. But beneath that facade lies a monster of supreme power. The Murim world is in chaos. News of the assassination attempt on the leader spreads like a wildfire. The era of peace has shattered into 1,000 pieces. At the Tang estate, the Rakshasa grins at the coming bloodbath. He believes this grand disorder is his stepping stone. Soon, he thinks, the entire world will bow to his sect." Panic strikes the palace as the hunt begins. Mount Qingcheng becomes the final battlefield for the desperate disciples. To protect his lineage, Manhwa orders a total evacuation. He prepares to face the coming storm in solitary defiance. Labeled as traitors for harboring the demonic cult, Qingcheng is doomed. They are the sacrificial pawns of the Alliance. Manhwa reveals his true heart to the elders. He chose this path for love, even if it invites destruction. The elders are fuming at their foolish leader. Yet his authority is absolute, leaving them no room for protest. Regret tastes like ash as the heroes investigate the coup. They wonder who truly pulls the strings behind the puppet Manhwa. A shadow master must be backing this rebellion. Who would dare challenge the supreme authority of the Murim alliance? Emotional goodbyes echo through the halls. Fear takes hold as the disciples realize they are losing their protector. Mu-am is the strongest shield of the mountain. But can one master stop the combined might of an entire army? The exodus begins under a heavy shroud of dread. Meanwhile, the alliance's executioners are already crossing the western borders. The Ma and Tang sects welcome the invaders with open arms. They scent the weakness of their old rival, Qing Cheng. 𝑦𝒏𝒐𝒉𝒆𝒓 looks down on the mountain with arrogance. He views this holy site as nothing more than an easy kill. He rushes toward the peak, hungry for glory and blood. He wants to exterminate the demonic remnants before anyone else. The surrounding sects watch with cold, calculating eyes. They are happy to let the alliance do their dirty work. At the base of the mountain, the demonic cult is restless. Tension peaks as Mu-am finally descends to meet them. An arrogant thug lunges at the sect leader without fear. He has no idea he is knocking on death's door. Gang intervenes just in time to save the fool's life. One more inch and he would have been a corpse. A giant warrior charges forward, only to freeze in pure terror. He realizes he is facing the legendary poison dragon. The man who once guarded the demon lord stands before them. His dark aura alone is enough to silence the crowd. Internal squabbles vanish as the true threat approaches. They must prepare for the legendary war against the Murim alliance. Led by the overconfident 𝑦𝒏𝒐𝒉𝒆𝒓, the invaders scale the cliffs. They believe victory is already within their grasp. Sichuan was once balanced by three great powers. Now, the fires of war threaten to consume the entire western region. The alliance had purged every dark sect to the north. Yet, 𝑦𝒏𝒐𝒉𝒆𝒓 finds only an eerie, haunting silence. He scoffs, thinking the defenders have fled like frightened dogs. He believes the mountain is his for the taking. Gang disguises himself as a simple monk to lure the wolf. He invites the enemy inside for a final hospitality. The realization hits too late. 𝑦𝒏𝒐𝒉𝒆𝒓 finds himself trapped in the den of the poison dragon. Mocking laughter rings out from the shadows. The storm unit emerges to humiliate the arrogant invader in battle. Seeing the sect is empty, the villain lunges for a kill. But Mu-am is waiting with a gaze of cold steel. He leaves the heavy lifting to his minions. Lightning dances on his blade as he unleashes a devastating technique. Every strike misses. Outside, Gang tests his newest forbidden toxins on the helpless alliance soldiers. Psychological warfare breaks their spirits before their bodies. They believe they are poisoned, their movements becoming slow and clumsy. Divine needles rain down to finish the pathetic survivors. Dealing with these weaklings barely grants any experience points at all. Inside, 𝑦𝒏𝒐𝒉𝒆𝒓's fury meets an unbreakable wall. Gurun's shield blocks every strike with mocking ease. He flows power into his blade, but it remains useless. Flashy techniques mean nothing against a master of true defense. Despite his massive size, Gurun moves like a phantom. He dances around the lightning strikes without breaking a sweat. A sudden, massive palm strike sends the invader flying. The realization finally sinks in. These are true monsters. He tries to summon his final forbidden art. But his legs collapse as the hidden poison takes hold. He should have been serious from the very beginning. Now, the toxin has paralyzed his very soul and spirit. Only 2 chapters of fame, and now he faces an early grave. Desperate, he summons his last strength to flee the hall. He expects his men to save him at the gates, but he finds only the silence of his fallen army. Jin Kung waited in agony. The reinforcements he summoned from the mountain, they were never coming. Mu-am had slaughtered them all. Facing certain death, the villain surrendered to his grim fate. Why send fodder to die? I used to wonder why the masters didn't just handle everything. Now I see. Without the hell of battle, the weak never evolve into true apex predators. Jin Kung trembled with regret. He failed to unite Sichuan's forces for this final, fatal strike. As the blade loomed, Jia Gong granted mercy. His goal was reached. The enemy was broken. Next time, I won't be kind. Jin Kung hissed before vanishing like a vengeful ghost. The troops were stunned. Why let a tiger return to the mountain? But the alliance held firm. Below, victory fires blazed. Jia Gang watched his allies celebrate, stunned by their hidden, lethal power. Peace is ours. For now, Mu-am whispered. They had crushed the Murim alliance in Sichuan. The legendary White Tiger squad from Guizhou lay decimated. The alliance would now tremble in fear. This victory bought precious time. Now, they could focus on Yuga's vital, life-saving recovery process. Muam urged him. Go to Gijo. Find Yunhananya. Master the forbidden secrets of Zen arts. Without absolute power, you protect no one. Jagang knew his current strength was simply not enough. With a heavy pack and a heavier heart, the young warrior began his perilous new journey. He feared for Hajian, but her eyes blazed with the fire of an unbreakable, devoted soul. Then came the bombshell. She was pregnant. Jagang's soul nearly exited his body in total shock. From battlefield legend to diaper duty, the thought terrified him more than any demonic martial art. To protect their child from the Tang clan's wrath, Hajian chose to vanish into hiding. My parents will treat me like royalty, she promised. Focus on becoming the world's strongest husband. One last passionate farewell, and they parted. Ahead lay the fortress of the Murim Alliance headquarters. 2 guards blinked. Asterisk, slash. Asterisk, Jagang delivered them to an eternal sleep before they could scream. He bypassed the locks with ease. Stepping into the dark dungeon, he challenged a legend to chess. Intriguing, Yunhananya roared. He silenced the guards to welcome this bold, mysterious midnight visitor. No gold for the bet? No problem. In this freezing hellhole, coins were useless anyway. Jagang wagered his very life. The legendary warrior smiled and accepted the high-stakes gamble. The stones clicked in rhythm. At dawn, I sleep, Hananya warned, and you will fail. Then I shall win before the sun rises, Jagang countered, his eyes burning with determination. The guards shouting annoyed the master. Silence, or I'll kill every last one of you myself. 10 moves later, Hananya froze. These were Muam's tactics. His old friend's soul was in this game. The master grew eager. He needed to see the next move, sensing a hidden, desperate message. Jagang played a self-destructive move. It was a signal of distress from Muam himself. Understanding hit like a lightning strike. Muam was in danger. The 20-year silence was finally broken. To honor his friend, Hananya stood. He would pass on the ultimate, forbidden 5 thunder technique. Ancient power flooded Jagang's body. The 7 walls and 9 lights began to awaken within. Hananya scoffed in disappointment. Muam sent me a talentless nobody? This boy is incredibly weak. But then he felt its venomous energy. Jagang's body was a ticking time bomb of lethal toxins. His meridians were clogged and screaming. This massive divine power was threatening to tear him apart. Jagang roared, forcing the impurities out to carve space for the pure, lightning-fast internal energy. Legendary poisons, Hananya marveled. This boy's body contained toxins that would kill a god. It was the fire soul pill. It had frozen his blood to stop the 5-colored corruption. This was the secret to his absolute poison immunity. A curse transformed into a legendary blessing. In reality, he'd be dead. But in this world, he was becoming a vessel for supreme power. The toxicity was too high to continue. Hananya stopped, fearing the transfer would end both lives. Jagang realized the truth. This forbidden teaching was vastly different from anything Muam ever showed. He explained that supreme power isn't gifted, it's forged through blood and experience. A single technique evolves, shifting its form to match the soul of the wielder. Muam masked his arts for Yua, hiding from the Alliance's deadly and watchful eyes. Our conflict peaked when 𝒂𝒈𝒉 took Yua's hand and targeted Muam next. I breathe only because he craves the secrets of the 5 Thunder Zen art. Consumed by shame, we remain hidden as the dawn of a new battle breaks. Jagang leads Yunhoya out, clearing the path of soldiers with cold, swift precision. Yunhoya enters deep meditation, promising to reveal his true power once centered. Today, the world will finally witness the pure, overwhelming might of 9 Light Zen. Jagang erupts with energy, obliterating the guards to secure Yunhoya's sacred ritual. At Kite Mountain, 𝒂𝒈𝒉 senses a spy and marches toward Qingcheng's sect. Unsuspecting disciples gossip about wine, unaware that a monster approaches from the mist. They mistook him for a traveler, but in a flash, they were all slaughtered. As the storm unit charges, 𝒂𝒈𝒉 mocks them with news of his wife. Before they can speak, he strikes, sending the elite warriors flying like autumn leaves. The witch unleashes her ghost sound, but his dark aura is far more terrifying. A single whistle shatters her eardrums, leaving her screaming in absolute, soul-piercing pain. Gurun blocks the blow, shocked to see a former ally joining the cult. With a casual swing, 𝒂𝒈𝒉 cleaves the massive shield into 2 useless pieces. Gurun's blade shatters as a deep wound is carved across his broken chest. 𝒂𝒈𝒏𝒈𝒆 intervenes while the monster walks past the piles of fallen, nameless soldiers. Muam bids a final, silent farewell to Yua before gripping his blade once more. From the distance, Muam's voice thunders, demanding a final duel to settle their fate. 𝒂𝒈𝒏𝒈𝒆 spares the weak, flying toward the peak to face his ultimate rival. In 3 steps, he reaches the summit, standing face to face with the legendary Muam. They exchange cold words, deciding whose funeral will be held on this sacred mountain. This war was fought for the heart of the dark cult's most beautiful mistress. A twisted web of love, 4 hearts entangled in a dance of death and betrayal. Muam ignores the taunts, unleashing a torrent of blade chi against his hated enemy. Their palms collide in a shockwave, forcing 𝒂𝒈𝒏𝒈𝒆 to cough up dark blood. Muam presses the advantage, disarming the monster in a flurry of cold, silver steel. He unleashes the 5th level of 5 Thunder Zen, hoping to end this nightmare. But 𝒂𝒈𝒏𝒈𝒆 has reached the 7th level. Muam's efforts are mere child's play. The villain laughs, revealing their shared lover taught him these forbidden, dark secrets. With a flick of his sleeve, he severs Muam's arm, preparing for the execution. Yua begs for mercy, but the cold-blooded monster spares no one in his path. Muam apologizes for his weakness, failing to protect the woman he loved so dearly. 𝒂𝒈𝒏𝒈𝒆 prepares to slaughter them both, ending the bloodline once and for all. With his final breath, Muam ignites his soul, causing the entire mountain to tremble. Yua strikes 5 desperate times before Muam casts her away to save her life. Knowing his end is near, he uses his remaining life force to push her. The mistress weeps as Muam, the man she loved, vanishes into the eternal abyss. 𝒂𝒈𝒏𝒈𝒆 arrives with his army, seeking to erase the dark cult forever. Suddenly, the legendary elders appear, carving through the invaders like mere blades of grass. The commander orders an attack, but these old masters are far from finished fighting. The duo's absolute power obliterated the fodder soldiers. Watching his minions fail, Jin Kung finally decided to act. Yua's blade flashed, sending him to hell instantly. With their leader dead, the remaining cowards fled in panic. Manhwa arrived, warning that the mountain was surrounded. He vowed to protect the cult at any cost. The Dark Lord arrived to witness his creation. Yua chose alliance over annihilation to save her dying sect. Yua and Mama Ogon joined forces with the old devil, forging a pact to survive the coming storm. After his meditation, Yun Han watched the boy struggle. Gang was wasting immense mana on mere low-level trash. Yun mocked his clumsiness. Gang humbly admitted his beginner skills were nothing compared to a true master's power. Recognizing his potential, Yun hoped they'd never meet again, whether as allies or as enemies on the battlefield. They parted ways. Gang felt enlightened, heading toward Mount Qingcheng with a newfound thirst for supreme dark power. To protect his loved ones, he had to master 9 internal gates. He vowed to become the strongest mage. Returning to the lakeside hut where they shared meals, Gang's heart yearned for his missing, beloved lady. He stepped inside to find absolute devastation. Blood stained the floors, signaling a dark omen of a massacre. Following the bloody trail, he found the culprits. The 3 dragons had kidnapped Hajian to lure him out. They planned to execute her before him, seeking bloody revenge for Xian. They had no idea who they faced. These fools didn't know the poison dragon possessed forbidden dark arts. Only Yi felt a shiver of dread. Bagan ignored the warning and kicked Hajian's face. The villain's cruelty knew no bounds against the helpless girl. As he prepared another strike, Bagan sensed him. The poison dragon had finally arrived to claim his vengeance. Yi walked away and encountered Gang. He sensed a dark, overwhelming aura radiating from the young man. Suspecting him, Yi launched a cowardly sneak attack. Gang parried the blow with cold, effortless precision. The assassin introduced himself. Gang spared him momentarily, wanting to settle the score with the main mastermind first. Yi provoked him, asking if he'd truly forgive the man who destroyed his home and his woman. He confessed to the carnage, and Gang's blood boiled. Absolute dark fury erupted as he finally snapped. The villain boasted of speed that even legends couldn't match. But Gang's dark magic moved beyond human comprehension. In a heartbeat, half the villain's face was erased. The era of domination begins. Like for part 2. Goodbye, everyone.